Welcome to Garden Wise Adventures. My name is Malie, and today we're going to do a video that is a redo video for a video I did yesterday. Now I'm highly disappointed that I have to do a redo. It was just a video I'd been waiting to do for a very long time. Now I watch James Prigioni, and he has this fun garden channel where he does a lot of harvest videos. He has a food forest, and he always has these epic harvests of gorgeous, colorful fruits and vegetables. And so I waited until I had a lot of vegetables ripe and in beautiful colors, and I did an hour-long video of harvesting. Then my brother came over to visit. I had a lot of fun visiting with him, sat down to edit the video and realized none of the footage was there. I don't know exactly what happened, but I did not have any of the footage that I videoed. I did have some pictures that I'd taken. I'll put the picture up here of my harvest. It was absolutely gorgeous. But the next videos that I'm going to do are going to be how I'm going to preserve that harvest. So I wanted to run you through really quick exactly what I harvested. And first we'll start with the tomatoes. Now I can't show you the picture of the actual tomatoes because the tomatoes have been chopped up and put into the freezer because we're going to make some ketchup in one of my upcoming videos. But let me go through the tomatoes and show you what I have. Now the first one that I'm going to show you is one that I didn't have ready to harvest, but I have one that is getting ready, and it is called Amana Orange. And let's head over to my south side and show you that one. So this is the south side of my yard. We do actually have some sun sugar tomatoes that are ready to harvest. Those are so tasty. Love these tomatoes, and I usually use them for just fresh eating. Last year I had enough of them that I actually dried them, and they're really good, and I've been using those up. The next one that I harvested all the ripe ones is my San Marzano tomatoes. Now these are a paste tomato. They're extremely tasty, and I was able to harvest quite a few of those. The ones that I harvested yesterday, these are going to be used in making some ketchup, and then maybe later in the year I'm going to make some more salsa. Now this is the tomato that I wanted to show you. This one is getting close to being ripe. It's not quite ripe yet, but it's an Amana Orange, and the color is absolutely gorgeous. I've only been able to harvest one of these. It was my second largest tomato that I harvested, and unfortunately I did not take a picture of it. So anyway, Amana Orange, absolutely delicious and a beautiful, beautiful color. Now I'll show you pictures of the next few tomatoes that I harvested, but it's off of all of the vines behind me. The seeds I got for these and for the Amana Orange were from Jane Esplin, and she has a YouTube channel called Gardening Fun with Jane. And she actually was willing to send out seeds from a lot of the tomatoes that she saved. And these tomatoes have been epic. So let me show you the picture of the tomatoes that I harvested. Now if you notice the yellow tomato, and I'll try and zoom in on the yellow tomato, that one's called Pineapple. That one is a tomato that I bought a start of, probably 8 years ago from the nursery, was really excited to try it, and it turned out that it was mislabeled and it wasn't a pineapple. And from that point forward, I wanted a pineapple tomato, but didn't want to grow it from seed, and I could never find the starts again. But when Jane sent me the pineapple seeds, I was able to get some really healthy plants here. And as you can see in the picture, they are absolutely gorgeous, and they're huge, and they taste really good too. I don't know if I'm going to be growing them again in my yard, but they are definitely worth growing this year. The next one is the one that I'm holding in my hand here. And that's the Dr. Wyche's Yellow. And I actually like the flavor of that one a little bit better than the pineapple tomato. That one was a really tasty tomato, and I really liked it. And as you can see, it is gigantic. That was my largest tomato that I've grown. And I've got several more large ones on the vine over here that are going to be ripening one of these days. Look at these guys. There's some big ones in there. So those are the Dr. Wyche's Yellow. And then the next one came from this vine right here. As you can see, the leaves on this one looks a little bit different than the leaves here. This is the potato leaf type heirloom tomato, and this one is a Black Seaman. And the Black Seaman is the tomato in the picture that has the dark shoulders. It's red with dark shoulders. We have one right here that will be ripening one of these days, and quite a few more on the vine. Now the next one is a really fun tomato. It's the red tomato that has a lot of fluting, or really wavy appearance to it. And this one is a mushroom basket. So the mushroom basket seems to have a denser flesh. It's really tasty and quite an interesting looking tomato. Here's a few more down here. They're quite pretty. Now the next came from my most prolific and favorite vine. These are my jet stars. You can see how big this one is getting. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're little, but they're always really tasty. This is a hybrid tomato. It's great for paste and it's great for fresh eating. And it's extremely prolific. So that rounds out the tomatoes that were ready for harvest in that video. As I said, I chopped all of them up and I actually have enough now to make a half batch of ketchup for a recipe that I found on Living Traditions Homestead. And I'll link that video up here so you can see how she does it. But that will be a video a little bit later down the line. I'm going to be doing some pickles first. So since we're going to be doing pickles, let me show you my cucumbers. Now these are my cucumbers behind me, and we had a really epic harvest, and I'll be taking you inside in a little bit to show you how many cucumbers I was able to get off this vine in the last week, and then we'll pickle them. I have enough for 10-quart jars of pickles. I have 7 plants here, and let me show you how many bees are in there and how many flowers we have and how many more cucumbers we have coming. So look at all the flowers on here. There's baby cucumbers everywhere. It's going to be an epic harvest this year. Look down here, there's several more. The bees have been swarming these flowers. Not seeing any right now because we're threatening rain and it's been really heavily cloudy. But there are so many of them. Now I've only grown one variety of cucumber for the last probably 2 decades, and that is Marketmore. Now I love the Marketmore cucumbers because when they're smaller you can use them for pickles. They stay crunchy, are absolutely delicious. They're usually long and straight, and they're really, really tasty for salad pickles. And they are never bitter. I don't think I've ever had one time when they've been bitter. Now normally cucumbers are bitter because of uneven watering. But even when these get a lot of water at one point and a little bit of water at the next, they don't turn out bitter. So I love Marketmore cucumbers. So next we're going to talk about the ground cherries. And we do have ground cherries that we can harvest. And let's go show you what they look like. Now this is a ground cherry plant. You can see the little green husks on there, and I'm going to link a video at the top that is all about ground cherries. I did a video on them about a year ago, but let me show you what they look like when they're ripe. So if you pull back the leaves and look on the ground, you'll see little brown husks that have fallen off the plant. So when you pull these open, there's this golden orb of deliciousness. So I harvested a bunch of ground cherries. Now at the end of the year, if I have a lot left over, I just end up drying them and they taste like sherbet. When they're fresh, they taste like pineapple mango. Now the next fruit that I harvested is off of this Himrod grapevine. But several days ago, I harvested about 3/4 of this bush, and we ended up making raisins out of it. Out of this vine and then my Canadas grape, which I'll show you in a minute, we ended up having enough for 8 quarts of raisins. Now one reason I really love my Himrod grapes is because they give me a second harvest. So these are unripe grapes right here that formed after the ripe grapes did. Let me show you what the ripe grapes look like. So if you go in here and look to the back here, and look to the back here, you're going to see some gorgeous bunches of perfectly ripe grapes. And I've just been harvesting these as I'm ready, because there's only a few left, and eating them. And they just have a really spicy, very sweet taste. These are excellent grapes, so I love my Himrod grapes. Let's go show you what the Canadas grapes look like. Now we're up near where the dog is, so the dog barking is going to be louder, as is the UPS truck. But this is what Canadas grapes look like when they're ripe. They've got this gorgeous pink color. They're very, very sweet and very fruity. This is my favorite grape for flavor, and it makes excellent raisins. Now most of this vine has been harvested already. There were a ton of them, but I have left a few bunches on it so that I can have them for snacking whenever I want them, because they do hold on the vine very well. Now we'll talk about the peppers that I harvested. I harvested a ton of banana peppers, and we'll take you inside and show you how many I harvested. And I'll link a video up above of how I make banana peppers, because I'm going to be creating some banana peppers also. So far this year, I've already done 7 pints of banana peppers, and I think this next batch will make 8 or 9 more. And I'll just keep making them because I eat as many as I have. I love banana peppers. So let me show you what those look like. Now here are my banana peppers. There's quite a few more that are not ripe yet, and they're forming new banana peppers. These plants have been extremely prolific. I grew these indoors. I started them by seed at the beginning of March, thinking that they would take a long time to mature, and they were producing peppers inside in gallon containers by May. And then I put these out in the landscape in June, and they just keep producing. They have not stopped. So these have been excellent peppers. And before we head back down to show you the last peppers that I harvested, look at these zinnias. I decided to try the Queen Lime series this year, and I think I will have them in my garden every year. This is Queen Lime Orange, and isn't this a gorgeous flower? I absolutely love it, and it has a lot of different variation in the colors. This is the Queen Lime Red, and I think this is my favorite one. Look at this flower right here. That is just like art. Absolutely gorgeous. And this is what the new little one looks like. And this is Queen Lime Blush. And look at the variation in color on these. Look how beautiful that is. So I'm in love with the zinnias this year, and I think I'll be growing a lot more next year. Now we're back down in the lower gardens, and I'm going to show you the sweet peppers that I've been harvesting. And then I'll take you inside and show you the full harvest of those and what I'm going to do to preserve them. Now we had a ton of them, but we already harvested all of the ripe ones. But these are my paprika peppers. And we wait until they turn bright red to harvest. You can see we have some that are almost ready over here, and then a ton of green ones. The paprika has been extremely prolific this year. And what I do is I just dry these whole, remove the seeds after they're dried, and then cut them up. And when I'm ready to use them, I will actually powder them in my blender. And I'll show you what the powder looks like and the paprika peppers when we go back inside. Last of all are my sweet bells. Now I harvested the ripe ones off this one. This is the only one left, and it's getting ready to harvest. But this is the California Wonder. So I have red striped and a yellow striped one that is starting to form more fruit. This is an Antohi, and I'm going to take you inside and show you the Antohi when they're completely ripe. They turn red. Absolutely gorgeous peppers, very thick-walled and sweet. This one down here is getting close to being ready. So we've got several more coming on the vine. I'm really excited about these. They've been very prolific. Then here's my favorite one. We've got a bunch inside that I harvested. This is Doe Hill. So Antohi has kind of it's very sweet and thick-walled, and it kind of has a little bit of a fruity after flavor to it. The Doe Hill has a citrus aftertaste. So it's very sweet, thick-walled, very small, beautiful orange, but it has this wonderful citrus aftertaste that I love. And we have several more that are thinking about getting ready to ripen. So now that I've showed you what the garden looks like and showed you the veggies that I harvested, let's go inside and talk a little bit about how I'm going to preserve them. Now I'm not going to preserve them in this video, but the next video will be my pickles, and then we'll make some ketchup also in another video. So I'm excited about that, but first let's go inside and show you what I have inside. Now we're back in my kitchen, and I wanted to show you this pile of wonderful produce that I have that I'm going to be preserving. But first we've got to show you little Calcifer. He's been extremely relentless. He has been needing a lot of love. I've just spent a few minutes loving on him so he won't sit and meow loudly. But here are my sweet peppers. This is the Doe Hill. Absolutely gorgeous, thick-walled, citrus aftertaste, very sweet. Smaller pepper, but very tasty. Look at the size of this Antohi. This is an Antohi. The color is gorgeous. We've got a little bit of burn at the bottom, but we can cut that off. We've got one that I picked a little bit early, but I'm going to preserve that one anyway. We'll just chop all of these up, mix them up so they're different colors, and put them in the freezer. This right here, these are California Wonder peppers that came out striped this year. I'm not sure why. And they came out of the same seed packet, and we've got both yellow and red. And I've been really excited about that. That's going to be a beautiful mix right there. And they're very tasty. They don't have as much of the fruity aftertaste as these do, but they're very sweet and thick-walled. And even as somebody who has not traditionally been a sweet pepper lover, I can eat all of these very happily. The next is my huge pile of banana peppers. These are sweet banana peppers. We have one that got ripe and it turned red, but we're gonna pickle that one also. And I pickle these, and like I said, I already linked a video at the top on how I do my pickled banana peppers. But the next video that I'm going to do is going to show you how to preserve all of these cucumbers. This is enough to do 10 quarts of pickles. I usually do dill pickles, and it's a very simple recipe, and that'll be my next video. Here's my squash. This is Costa Romanesco. All of these are Costa Romanesco. This one got a little overdone. I'm going to shred that up and put it in the freezer. This one I'll probably turn into zoodles, and this one I'll put in a stir fry. We'll also put the yellow crookneck in a stir fry. And this has been a fun squash. I always get a volunteer squash vine in my compost pile, and normally they're the yellow crooknecks. But this year, this is what volunteered. It obviously crossed with something, because last year I grew acorn squash and, acorn and butternut squash. So this crossed, and it tastes fantastic. It's got a very sweet and nutty flavor, so it's actually good to eat, because sometimes these come out and they taste like cucumbers, and they're not really good. But this one was an excellent one, and I think it's really kind of cute. I love the green spot at the end. Now here's my paprika. This is from last year's paprika plants. What I do, and I'll show you my paprika that I have drying, but I dry my paprika whole and then store it until I need it. Then I remove the seeds, chop it up, put it in my food processor, and just powder it up that way. And it makes a wonderful, sweet, kind of smoky flavored paprika. I really love it. So let's go show you where I'm drying those. Now we're here in my grow room. We've got a fan that runs during the daytime. It's on an automatic timer. And we've got wire racks, and so this is just where I dry my paprika. I could put them in my dehydrator and dry them quicker, but this works fine too, and it's just very easy. And they can stay here as long as I want them to. So they just stay here until they're dry, and then when I think about it, I'll just store them under my stairs in this cold storage that I have under there. And it works really beautifully that way, and we have a large amount of paprika that we have ready to be powdered. So there's my harvest recap video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really wish I could have kept the footage of my previous harvest, because that was a lot of fun. But at least now you see what I've harvested, and then the next videos will be of how I preserve the pickles. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends, and go have a wonderful garden adventure.